Hello, hello. So I was just laying here and the Lord was speaking to me, and he said, well, he was speaking to me personally, but it's a word he wants me to put out because it's for all of his chosen ones. He was saying that the exact things that you went through are going to be the same things that your enemies go through as well, your adversaries. So if you were alone and isolated, they're going to be alone and isolated. If you're struggling financially, they're going to struggle financially. If you're at odds with family members or your children or friends, they're going to be at odds with their family members, their children, or their friends. If, you were backstabbed and betrayed and slandered and badmouthed, they're going to be backstabbed, betrayed, slandered, and badmouthed. I could go on and on. Every single thing, the Lord was listing everything off that your adversaries are going to go through, and it's a long, long list. And especially for those that tried to put you in some sort of a situation, right? Those that purposely tried to ruin your reputation, theirs is going to be ruined. Those that purposely tried to stop you and your love interest or your partner from coming together, or just tried to control and intervene and involve themselves in all these areas in your life, these are the exact same areas that they are going to suffer in as well. The Lord is turning the tables. It's just a matter of time. And the Lord's saying that's another reason why your enemies, I put out the word yesterday, are trying to stop you and slow you down, isn't just because they don't want you to achieve success. It's because they know that it's a twofold thing. When you get to the end, you get to the final destination where you're supposed to be, where the Lord has been leading you and guiding you all this time. The Lord was showing me there's no place like home. And then the red slippers, the red shiny slippers, right? That's what he was saying. The red shiny slippers, and there's no place like home. So the Lord's leading you to some sort of home, what'll be home for you. And your adversaries know this. And so not only do they not want you to reach that final destination and make it successfully, but they know that the other caveat to you getting there is that is when they're going to have to reap everything they sown. So it's a bitter pill on both sides, both ends, because on one end you will reach where they kept trying to stop you from reaching, but on the other end they are going to get back everything they gave. And so it's of course in their best interest to stop it, right? The Lord was also saying an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's what he was saying. Meaning that, and it's not even necessarily in a really malicious, evil, wicked way. That's how they operate, right? It's just, it is what it is, right? If you lie to people, you're going to get lied to. If you cheat on people, you're going to get cheated on. If you steal from people, you're going to get stolen from. That's just how it works and goes, is that what you give out and do is what you're going to receive. Hold on. Sorry. But yeah, the Lord's just saying, that's pretty much all he's saying, is that the things that you went through are going to be the very same things that they're going to go through. And they don't want to go through it. And the Lord's saying it's going to be harder for them because you didn't go through those things because of judgment. You weren't under judgment when you went through the things you went through. You went through them because it was necessary to equip you to be the spiritual follower of Christ that you are today, right? Had you not went through think about it. The Lord was showing me, if you never were isolated, if you were with your friends all along, how would you have gotten to know the Lord? If you weren't separated from the things around you and you just kept doing the things you were doing, your addictions, your bad habits, your sins, you would have never put them down. And who knows where they could have led you, right? You were going down darker road in the past, and you don't know where it would have led you to. And, you had to separate from some of those ex-partnerships or that ex-partner from the past because they were abusive in some way, right? Financially, sexually, emotionally, verbally, physically, mentally, somehow, some way. And had the Lord not separated you all, then you'd still be with that person, and who knows how things could have, where things could have led. Those are just some examples, right? Like I've talked about this before in other words, is that it's like you were wearing a blindfold for pretty much your entire life, your adult years anyway. And the Lord saved you. He saved you from, who knows, more abuse, from depression, from a drug addict, like an addiction, or even stronger addiction than what you had. Something like that, something that wasn't in your favor, all because you took a different path. But these people, they were always jealous of you. They were always bitter at you. They were always angry with you. And it was just simply for the fact that you were chosen, because you didn't just suddenly become chosen the last 5 years. You've been chosen since you were born, and there was always something special and unique and different about you. And that was the thing that caught their attention, and it was negative attention. And you probably were dealing with attacks from somebody throughout your whole life, through maybe childhood friends, bullies, your family members, early partnerships, right? Even maybe teachers at school. Who knows? Like it's not like you just suddenly started to receive poor treatment 5 years ago. You had been receiving poor treatment pretty much your whole life, here and there, right? You were no stranger to rejection. You were no stranger to abandonment. You were no stranger to stress or abuse, right? And you'd still be living that life if God hadn't intervened the way he did. But now today you have peace. Now today you have understanding. Now today you have knowledge. Now today you're wise and discerning and sensitive to things. You would never be in those same positions today that you were back when. And that's because of the Lord's changes that he created in your life and his doing, right? But because these people were going against you at the same time, the Lord used them. They don't see this, but the Lord used them. Because had the Lord not have used them, they wouldn't have received any karma or judgment for what they did to you. They would have just gotten away with it. Those family members, those friends, ex-friends, ex-partners, they would have just gotten away with their mistreatment. But the Lord said, no, not my chosen one, not my child. I'm going to clean this child up and show them the diamond that they are and have always been. And I'm going to turn their life around. They may not see it while I do this process, but in the end they're going to. And when they do, they're going to see it for what it is and be a better person for it. And I'm going to get the glory, which the Lord does. And now the Lord has a very good excuse and a very good reason to put these people through the very same testing process he put you through. But the difference is they're going through it for judgment. You went through it for improvement and for betterment and refining. They're going through it. They are going to go through it. What's already started happening, the Lord's saying, they are going through it presently and will continue to go through it in the future because of the judgment that they get for doing what they did. Because like I say, you reap what you sow, an eye for an eye. So if you can dish it out, then you can take it. But the difference is that because yours was being done, the Lord is saying, like, for your betterment, right? And theirs is being done as a punishment, as a consequence. It's going to be harder for them than it was for you. And they're not going to have the perks that you had. You had angels watching over you. They're not going to have that. You had the Lord's hand upon you. They're not going to have that. And so this is why the Lord wants you to pray for them, is because they're not they won't have the same advantages that you had. And they're also not going, well, I correct myself. The Lord is saying they are going through it for their their betterment as well. Just like with you, it was for your betterment. It is for their betterment. But the Lord is showing me like a more crooked, windy, twisty path for them. It's the same road to the same place, but a twisted path. It won't be as smooth as it was for you, but they think it will be because they monitored you the whole time. So they're like, well, even when my day comes and I do have to go through this, I kind of know what to expect and what to do. But the Lord is saying that they cannot compare the road that you traveled to the road that they have in front of them to travel. Because the Lord is saying it may end up in the same destination. Possibly, who knows? They're not you and you're not them, so maybe not. But it's going to be a different path because of the fact that you didn't do anything to these people. They did stuff to you. And so it's just like in our natural world, if you commit a crime, you have a jail sentence. You know what I mean? You know that. You know there's a consequence for crime. That's why you don't commit crime. Well, it's the same thing, is that there's spiritual laws as well. And I made the Lord just reminded me of the word I put out in the beginning of the year saying the Lord's court will rule in 2024. And that's the thing, is that it's not about the physical laws and the physical justice system. It's about the Lord's justice system, because he supersedes and oversees all. And so he used what they did against you, their hatred, their jealousy, their bitterness, their envy, and he used it for your betterment. Had they not done these things to you, it wouldn't have pushed you down the better road you're on. It wouldn't have made you a better person. So they worked for you. They worked for God. They did you a favor. And now in turn, they're going to have to go through the same things you went through in a lot of ways. Except for, like I said, the Lord said it's not going to be as smooth of a road for them as it was for you, because you didn't necessarily deserve some of those things, but they do. Right? So similar path, but two different reasons. And the Lord wants you to pray for them, because they're going to have a harder time. Even if they think they won't, they will, and they'll see it. And just pray for their salvation and deliverance, because hopefully in the end, they become a better person too, right? But just like you, like we already established, if you hadn't had your friends backstab you or betray you, you would have stayed friends with them. And then they wouldn't have grown and changed, and you wouldn't have grown and changed. If you still rubbed shoulders with your family members that were against you, then there wouldn't have been a division and a separation. And then they wouldn't have had the chance to grow, and you wouldn't have grown. But because instead there was a separation and division, it put you on a different path, and it forced them to have to go on a different path too. The Lord shook things up here. Same with the friends. Same with that ex-partner. You would have stayed with them, even though they were lying, cheating, abusive. Right? And now, because that person did those things to you, they're going to go and learn what it feels like to be lied to, cheated on, abused, and they're going to learn that they don't want to lie and cheat and abuse. It doesn't feel good to do, and it doesn't feel good to receive. And you also learned through your journey, thanks to what they did, that you deserve better than that, and you will never be lied to, cheated on, and abused again. Even if that means being alone. You would rather choose that. But you might not have made that same choice 5 years ago, right? So, anyway, a lot of these people that have came up against you are going to go into a spiritual prison. They tried to put you into a spiritual prison where you felt oppressed and controlled, repressed, isolated, alone. Things that you would expect, right, in an actual prison. They were trying to do this to you because they felt that you deserved this. But the only way that someone could think that someone deserves this, especially someone that's innocent, is someone that's evil. There's no other explanation. And they have to pay their debt for that evil heart. evil mind, that evil action, those evil words, the Lord's saying, those evil words, those evil actions, those evil thoughts, evil feelings, there's a consequence with that. There's a price to pay. And hopefully, the way the Lord gets the most glory in this is that when it's all said and done, when and in the end that the Lord decides, if you're not an evil person, you've never been, but if you're still not an evil person despite what you've gone through, and these people were pure evil and they're no longer evil, then that's the win for the Lord. That means his will has been done. That is the perfect outcome in the Lord's eyes, is if you can go through everything you did and still be a good and righteous, honest, true person, and if they can go through their same journey kind of thing that you did, and in the end they too can learn and do a 180-degree change and become a good and pure and honest, righteous person, then that's a win-win for the Lord and a lose-lose for the devil, right? That is what the Lord considers to be the most successful outcome out of this, all of this situation, everything. And it's already happened for you. The Lord's will has already been done in your life. So half of the Lord's plan has already been established. Now it's time for the other half to be established. And it's coming up. The tables have already turned spiritually. They just are going to show up physically. And these people know that. That's why they're trying to slow you down, like I said in the word yesterday, is because not only do they want to slow you down and stop you so that you can't finally get home and achieve that success, that put a finish stamp on this, but it also means it's not just that. It also means that their journey will begin, really begin. You've already started to almost come to the front doors of that home. They're already almost at the front doors of the prison. And so they're trying to stop you from going in, not just because they don't want that for you, but because it also means they're going to have to go in too. What you've been going through will come to an end and your new chapter will begin. And what they've been going through will end and their new chapter will begin. And the Lord's reminded me of the word that I put out about you'll go from the pit to the palace, and meanwhile they'll go from the palace to the pit. You will switch spots. They've been trying to switch spots with you all this time through their spiritual ways or whatever. Well, they're going to get their wish. That's what the Lord is saying. The Lord is saying they wanted to switch spots with you so badly. Okay, the Lord will let you switch spots with them. And like I said, they know that this is coming up for them, but they think it's going to go as smooth as it did for you. If you can do it, they can do it kind of thing. Because they don't give you any credit, right? But the Lord is saying they'll see when they get there. They're not going to have the support spiritually, physically, etc. that you had. Because like I said, your journey going through was not out of a punishment or a consequence. But theirs is. It was a learning experience for you, the Lord says. And it's a learning experience for them too. The Lord wants the glory in the end. The Lord wants to save and deliver everybody. That's what he ideally wants, right? But the only way that they can get to where you are is if they do what you did. Be obedient. Be focused. Put the Lord first. Put the sins down. It's going to take, they're going to have to do a complete 180. They're going to have to change everything. If they have addictions, we'll need to stop them. If they're hanging out with a bad crowd, they're going to have to cut them off. If they have an abusive partner in their life, or they are an abusive partner to someone, there's going to be a separation there. The Lord is saying they're going to be in a similar situation where they're going to be isolated and alone. They're going to have to sacrifice things in order to please the Lord, to move forward, to not get stuck. And it's easier said than done. And they're a lot more entrenched in these things than you were when you were in the world. you know? So it's going to be a lot harder for them. They're going to go through stronger withdrawals, the Lord is saying. So of course they want to stop you and slow you down. It means the beginning to something for them that they don't want. They want to put it off as much as they can. The Lord's showing me somebody that makes bail so that they don't have to go to jail, right? If somebody is caught for something in the legal world and they have to go to prison or jail, they'll try and post bail or something so that they can try and buy some time or whatever. It's the same thing. That's what they're trying to do. But it's temporary, the Lord is saying. This little pause time is temporary for you and for them. And they know it. That's why this whole month of October has been such a strong month of spiritual warfare, is because they know that the Lord is saying the grains of the hourglass are falling to the end. The last grains of the hourglass are coming through. You know what I mean? So, anyway, that's the message that the Lord was telling me. So, if I have any more revelation on this from the Lord, I will be back. Is there anything else, Lord? I feel like there's something else he was trying to say while I was talking, but I don't know. If it comes back to me, I will be back if he nudges me to come back on. So I know that the chosen ones that needed to hear this will come across this message. And I know it'll make sense to those that it's for. So I hope it finds you well. Take care. God bless.